Okay, welcome to another edition of Jazz Smack Postgame, where the Jazz went into Phoenix and played a great game, but fell short in overtime as Grayson Allen made some miracle threes. Let's talk about it.
Jazz Smack, your source for information and analysis about the Utah Jazz and NBA basketball. Jazz Smack is a community for passionate Utah Jazz NBA fans.
So the Jazz really had some difficulty guarding Devin Booker tonight, and Devin Booker scored 47 points on highly efficient shooting. But the Jazz had a couple of great performances, namely Isaiah Collier with 10 assists in the first half, 13 overall, and also scored 15 points. And then Walker Kessler's both scoring and rebounding numbers are just out of sight, off the charts. He's just playing better and better and better, and he's just so dominant on the defensive end and offensive rebounds. I mean, he's just turning into an absolute monster, and that is really positive for the Jazz moving forward to have somebody this good in the paint. And not many teams in the NBA have anyone like this any longer. It's just the big guys who can dominate are few and far between. He just needs to continue to improve on offense, and he's making strides, small ones, but certainly making strides in doing that.
Yeah, it's I was talking to an LA Laker fan, and of course the only thing you can say is like, what a gift from Dallas. Like we all say that. I mean, I was talking to somebody in Germany this morning and brought up Luka, asked me what I thought about that trade, because it's even getting to Germany and talking about it. But all the people that wrote off Walker Kessler last year, oh my gosh, you like look at this now. I mean, this is incredible. And honestly, even more than Walker Kessler in my mind is Collier. This is like a first-year point guard. Like you said, 10 assists in the first half. Yeah, they slowed down in the second half, but this guy is good. It's not only that this guy is like showing this guy is good. Like Castle got like Rookie of the Month. I think that's because Collier just started to, because Castle had 31 points tonight. But Collier is like blowing people away right now. I mean, it is fantastic.
Yeah, he's going to end in the rookie. If he keeps this up and continues to get the 30 minutes a game, he's going to end up certainly in the top 5 rookies. And he could even be playing himself into Rookie of the Year discussion. I mean, honestly, the Rookie of the Year stuff means almost nothing, because most of those guys who gets Rookie of the Year don't end up being the best players from their draft class, because it just takes time to develop. But still, I mean, the guy is just playing out of his mind. I mean, I think this is the best case scenario the Jazz could have ever hoped for, that they had somebody out of this draft pick class, out of those 3 guys that they drafted, play this well. I mean, he's clearly a future. The Jazz just need to pair him with a big 2 guard, whether that's Cody Williams or they need to get somebody else. The starting backcourt can't be long-term Collier Sexton or Collier Keontae. That just isn't going to work. They've got to get size at that other position, because Collier doesn't have a lot of height, and they can't pair him with another guy who's 6'3", 6'2", in that range, in my opinion.
Yeah, you sound like Ainge. Or at least all the people that want like size. I agree with you. I mean, I think you have to say, like, in the ideal world, you have that. The question is, are you ever going to have the ideal, right? I mean, you have to kind of go with who your best players are. And we both thought there was going to be trades. There wasn't. So I think we are still going to trade our veterans. I mean, let's face it. And I think Colin will eventually be traded. I'll be sad of that. So I think there will be a chance, but Keontae's not going to be the guy. Like, we both, well, let's not say for sure, right? You said, which you're right on, players develop different levels. Basically, if you look at Keontae, he's on exactly the same pace as he was at the end of last year, which is not an NBA starting player. It's probably not even an NBA rotation player. But Maybe in his third year he blows up, right? Maybe in his fourth year he blows up. No one knows, right? I mean, he could play really hard this summer, practice and figure it out. So we don't know. But as of right now, he doesn't look like this, the off guard. So we need that. But I think you would say this. Don't we have two players now in the young guys? We got two guys that we think are going to be part of the core team.
Yeah, I fully believe that. I think we have two starting guys moving forward that are of the young people. Now, I'm assuming still the Jazz are going to try and do something 3 years out rather than turn it around and try and do something next year. If they try and turn around and try and do something next year, obviously Lowry's part of that, and John Collins is probably part of that. But I think Ainge wants to build a championship roster, and so it's still another couple years down the road where they can turn it around and try and start to win games and be competitive. But yeah, my issue with the small, I think they could be fine offensively, the small backcourt. But like tonight, Booker just killed them. I mean, they don't have anybody that can defend him. I mean, whether Collins there or Keontae or whatever, I mean, they're just way undersized. They just can't. I mean, Booker's 6'6", and we're trying to guard him with guys that he just towers over, and there's just no way. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I guess if you had a team like New York, where you had a lot of guys that were versatile, you could flip on like a small forward, whatever, on him. But clearly, it's better if you have players at every position that can guard multiple positions. I mean, we're not going to doubt that. But I think we just need to see it play out. I mean, ultimately, like you and I talked in one of the last podcasts, we put Colin Sexton and John Collins is unlikely to be traded because based upon the assets that were being traded, we didn't think that Ainge would trade for that. But that doesn't mean he's not going to do it in the summer when you start getting better packages again, if you start getting better packages again. But I think at that time, then probably both of those guys are off your roster. I think that's probably the case. Am I going to be sad at that? I think you're going to be sad at that. We both like them, right? We both think that they're really good guys. You can't get a guy that hustles more than Sexton. Is exactly, came from cleaning toilets to playing in the NBA. I love that story. I mean, I love everything this kid's about. But the reality is he probably is going to be, flipped to something else. And that's fine. I hope he goes to a better situation, where he wins right away. But yeah, we're probably going to lose next year too. And I'm okay with that. I would just worry that we're going to win this game again. And this year, after a painful year, we've got it. Hardy, come on, dude. We got, we got to lose. You can't play Market and Collins and Kessler in the same game because guess what? They're way too good.
We're to the point where, I mean, even if he's trying to win games now, I mean, they're not going to make the playoffs. All they're going to do is give themselves a worse draft. Yeah, you could say, well, we're building culture, but that draft position is more important than building culture right now. It just is. They have to get that top 5 guy, and the only way they're going to do that is through the draft. I mean, hoping that a Luka situation falls into your lap, I think that's a strategy, a losing strategy, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and Locke was going off on Atlanta today that they're going to lose their pick regardless because San Antonio owns it, and he's right about that. I mean, and then they trade away some of their players. Like, what the heck are you thinking? Like, right, you've lost it. You don't have this draft pick you don't own. You should not be losing this year. Do you guys understand? Like, is the Luka or is the Dallas GM related to the the Atlanta GM? Because guys, do you understand? You don't own that pick. Like, why are you trying to lose? Fortunately, they won tonight, so that was good. But San Antonio is gonna, their pick's not going to be good, but they got Atlanta's pick. So that's like amazing. We need some of those, right? We need multiple, like in the top 10 in the same year, like San Antonio had last year, right? And got Castle, then traded away for I think 2030 Minnesota pick, maybe 2031. Anyhow, who else do you got that you want to talk about on this game, or just on Kessler?
Well, Kessler's, I mean, the guy goes 9 for 17 from the field. He gets 9 offensive rebounds, 13 defensive rebounds for 22 rebounds overall. So 19 points, 22 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks. He actually had probably three offensive opportunities around the basket that he really blew tonight that were chippies. That those are the 3 plays that he's got to learn to finish or to get fouled or do something with. Mm-hmm. So he did blow those, but overall his numbers are so good that it's hard to nitpick. I mean, the guy's just unbelievable. And like Phoenix is kind of undersized right now too. I mean, they traded away Nurk, and their only big guy right now of any substance is Plumlee. So I mean, yeah, it's a team with size issues. So Walker should definitely dominate this game, and he did.
Yeah. I watched those where he kind of blew some bunnies down below, or it was awkward. Like Collier gave him this great bounce pass, and he blew. Like he went in there, like he did his second year, right? Really like weak. Go in there and just jam it on top of all of them. He looks so big this year. Like maybe it's just me, but he looks big. Not only like bulky, that he's bulked up, but he is tall and long. But boy, that's an unbelievable line. So what I was telling you about my client in LA, he said, we were talking about the trades, and he said, he's talking about getting the pick or the center from Charlotte, where he says, look, I don't even know who that guy is. And I had to admit, I don't know who that guy is either.
Yeah, I don't know about that guy. Yeah.
I mean, you got the best pick available they got for a guy that none of us know, but he's like, yeah, we wanted Walker. There was no way we're getting Walker Kessler. So there was actually an LA fan that realized, yeah, Walker's like really good, and there's no way you're going to get him even for 2 second or first round picks.
Yeah. There's no way. I mean, like I said in the previous one, that's just that LA Laker fan base is probably the most delusional one in the entire NBA. I can't believe all those articles just kept on popping up with, the Lakers are going after Walker Kessler, and the trades were ridiculous because it was like Walker Kessler and Colin Sexton for for Dalton Connect and a first round pick. Like, why would the Jazz ever do that? It just doesn't even make sense. Well, first of all, the salaries didn't match up, and secondly, I mean, it's just delusional. That's all you can say about it.
Yeah. The other thing, like, look at our line today too. Since Collier's been starting, and this is against my man Colin Sexton too. So I'm not going to be like the overly biased person that likes Colin Sexton. Look at our turnover numbers. 10 turnovers for the night. I mean, even our friend Keontae's turnovers go down when he's not playing like point guard. So, right. And look, last year, Hardy didn't have a great point guard alternative. So, yes, he should not have elevated Keontae because he didn't earn it. It's gonna tick him off, as I'm sure it has, to put him back down, right, to like a bench role. So he shouldn't have done that. But at the same time, he didn't have a lot of good choices for point guard. I would have started Colin Sexton at point guard, but he didn't have a lot of good choices. It's like night and day with Collier. I mean, it's like night and day in how the offense runs. He's just much crisper. And honestly, every game he seems to be getting better.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he seems to be getting better.
Yeah, he's improving at a rapid rate. And that's really, I mean, he's playing the most difficult position to learn, and he's improving at a rapid rate. It's actually quite incredible. But the other guy to mention here, too, is Filipowski played really well, too. I mean, 11 points, 11 rebounds, 8 offensive rebounds. I mean, look at that Jazz total rebound number. 73. The Jazz grabbed 73 rebounds in a single overtime game with 25 offensive rebounds. That's unbelievable. That's absolutely incredible. And Filipowski with 8 offensive rebounds and Walker with 9. Holy moly. That's just... Those are actually crazy numbers.
I got to tell you something. This is very odd, but I'm looking at the stats on ESPN. It says 63 total rebounds. So that is bizarre. because like this one says 73, the stats on ESPN say 63. um, but whatever it is, it's a ton of rebounds, right? So um, yeah, it's we'll have to talk. Like I'll talk offline about you about like who our big guys are, and I worry about getting Cooper Flag for just how it would look being in Utah with these guys. But I'm really excited about Flip too. I mean, he looks great. I gotta be honest. I'm bothered that we got a guy in Hardy's doghouse again, and Bryce Sensabaugh, 13 minutes, 1 for 5. Okay,
Yeah,
he didn't shoot well, but let him shoot out of it. He's a
yeah,
great shooter, Hardy. Come on.
yeah.
Like, what are you doing playing Keontae?
He yeah, ever since he went out with injury, he just hasn't been able to turn it around. So
Yeah,
it's not positive. That's for sure.
but let him shoot out of it, or at least try. I mean, Keontae, 35 minutes, 2 for 9 from three. Yeah, it wasn't terrible. He shot okay from the field. It wasn't terrible, but we know what Keontae is. Give Sensabaugh a shot, Hardy. You know, stop playing your pet. Let somebody
Yeah,
else play. Give him a shot. We know what Keontae is. Let him work hard in the summer and see what he can do.
yeah. I agree.
Um, yeah, let's take a look at yeah, I gotta tell you something. I like Bol. Like I honestly think he's better than people think he is. I've never really just wondered why the guy never gets minutes. He's huge. He should be able to block like a lot of shots, right? He's a stick like his dad, but he's better than his dad. Um, I mean, look, he's not a starting player, but don't you think he should be getting minutes as a backup
Yeah,
center?
the knock on the guy is his work ethic. That's always
Is
what
it?
it's been. Yeah, I mean that's been the rumor going around from when he was at Oregon, and
Mhm.
since he's been in the NBA, it's all about work ethic. And yeah, he's one of the longest guys in the NBA. His length is insane, and he's athletic. Yeah, he's nothing like Manute. He's a lot more athletic, a lot more. I mean, Manute had that really ugly three, and and Bulbul's three is pretty ugly too, but it's nothing like Manute. He's much more skilled, much more athletic than Manute. But yeah, it's the work ethic, and apparently he's really lazy.
That's a shame because you're getting an NBA paycheck, but you could be getting a much bigger paycheck.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
figure, I mean, I'd like to see him stand next to Wembiana and see like what are they relative. He did have like 3 rebounds in 25 minutes. That's not a good sign, right? That's not like you're down there pounding. That's a
yeah,
lot of effort. Um,
yeah.
but
I would say his standing reach is number three in the NBA behind Wemby, Edie, and then it's him. I would
wow,
say
is
he's
he
number
that good?
three.
Hmm, hmm.
But you're right. He should be a lot better than he is. I mean, skill wise, he has the skills, but he's just the work ethic is just he's it's void.
That's too bad.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's too bad. I was listening to Tag. He was with, when they rotate the Jazz guys coming back in and sitting in the arena, and he was with Boulder and Thurl, and they're just talking about it. And Tag was like, "Oh, I don't even watch the NBA anymore." And like you and I hear that. These are guys that just, they were so big that they had the opportunity. They just didn't love the game. They didn't have the passion. Like Tag could have been a lot better basketball player.
Hmm.
I don't think he had a lot of coordination, so he could have never been fantastic, but he underperformed, right? Versus a guy like Mart Eaton, incredibly awkward, everything else, he overperformed. And it's just sad when you see some of these guys that don't go all in, right? I mean, this is an opportunity in a lifetime that most of us would just die for, right? It's like the best opportunity to do that and to not like go all out, particularly when your dad was an NBA player. But it's his career, and it's too bad because he's probably going to get bounced out of the league.
Yeah,
But
he's not gonna last. I mean, he plays so sparingly as it is. Yeah, he'll be replaced by somebody else younger. It's
yeah,
just the way it
look at
is.
look at Book's numbers. 18 for 33, 11 assists with still
Yeah,
scoring that point. Booker's good.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he's good. And honestly, we traded away Grayson Allen for Mike. Which look, I'm not upset about that trade because you and I both are the biggest Mike fans, but he's turned into a real good, high quality NBA player. Great six man. Great shooter. He came in the league as such a punk. I'm really happy for him. I'd like to have a guy like Grayson Allen on my team because he's kind of got the Dylan Brooks in him, but just not as tough. But he can shoot the lights out. Let me see what he's shooting this year from three.
Yeah, he has good percentages. I haven't looked at it, but I know he has good percentages.
43.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's turned into a quality player. I mean, that was a really good draft choice, even though he only lasted 1 year in Utah. But that was a really good pick. That was one of Dennis Lindsey's better picks.
Pick 21.
Yeah.
So very good pick for pick 21. Very good pick.
High value for that slot, no doubt.
Yeah. All right. What else on the game?
I don't really have anything else to comment about this particular game. I think that's about the size of it. But
we lost.
Yeah, it's really positive that they actually did lose. I mean, I want the games to be competitive, but the Jazz need to lose. They can't end up with the fifth worst record. They need to be they have to get in that bottom three positions. They have to.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and if you look at who else won today, Charlotte pulled one out. I watched that game at the end. So Fox hit a 2-pointer from like 19 feet away at the top of the key to put them up by 2. So ball came down, wild, out of control, driving into the lane. You thought he was going to throw up a wild shot, which he did like throughout the night. And he pitched it over to the baseline to Bridges, and he nails a 3-pointer. And then Fox gets it back with 1.9 seconds to go, and he nails the 3-pointer. But the time it was still in his hand. So, man, that's fantastic. The one that's like now we really need to be worried about is New Orleans, but Charlotte as well, because Charlotte's Miller's out for the season. I mean, Charlotte's going to be going in a downward spiral.
Yeah, they're clearly selling off. They clearly sold off assets at the trade deadline to lose games, and they're in the tank again. New Orleans isn't in tank. I mean, there are a lot of teams trying to lose games now. So if the Jazz start winning, it's a big problem.
It sure is. Let me see. Yeah, Washington lost, but the reality is we're not going to catch Washington. Let's face it, that team's brutal. Although they're probably better without our friend Kuzma playing.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens with Milwaukee with that one. I'm not sold. I'm not a Kuzma fan. University of Utah and all that. Just not a Kuzma fan.
I got to tell you, I root for him because he's University of Utah. I can't like Dame. The same with Weber State. There's so few of these guys that come and play at Utah that I'm rooting for the kid. But yeah, I predict Giannis is going to ask for an opt out at the off season because they're not going anywhere. Like they got Kuz. Yeah. Good luck with that team.
Yeah, it seems like they could have come up with somebody better than that. Because like Kuzma's not being paid small dollars either. It's like, yeah, couldn't you find a comparable salary to Middleton to get something better than Kuzma? I mean, geez. But
yeah, we should do a trade show and go through like every team, like our reactions of how they did. That'd be fun to do because like the baffling one is like Phoenix where they trade the 1 for 3 and then they make one move, to get rid of a guy I guess was a cancer in their locker room. I guess that's why they got rid of the guy. But I'm not sure if that was like the cancer, if there's like Durant, who knows what's going on there.
Yeah,
but
well, it's Bradley
they're a
Beal.
mess.
It's Bradley Beal. That trade sunk them. They killed them.
But do you think that they have dissension with Bradley Beal in the locker room?
The headlines I saw, they wanted to move him, and I think he has no trade clause. and he said he wants to stay in
Yeah, he
Phoenix.
does.
So
He does. He has no
yeah,
trade clause.
he doesn't want to. He don't want to be moved, and that's the killer move they did. They did it to themselves. I didn't understand it at the time. I don't understand it today, and it's entirely their own doing.
What I guess what I'm asking is, I get, yeah, Booker and LeBron have no trades. They should have never agreed with Booker. They did, and he says, I don't want to go. Do you think that Durant, Allen, Royce O'Neal, Book are upset with Beal for not wanting to be traded? Because I agree with you. That's hurt their team that they couldn't trade.
Uh,
But
yeah, I would if I'm if I'm Durant in his situation, his aging. I mean, they're just throwing the season away, and they had an opportunity to get better, and they couldn't because Beal wouldn't. Yeah, if I were Durant and Booker, I'd be upset. Yeah, absolutely.
well, I let's see if you hear the rumblings, because I heard there was dissension in the locker room, but I didn't hear like what, and maybe there's something out there about what it is. I think part of it was Nurkic. I think there was an issue there, but I haven't heard. But you could be right. I don't know. But they're a mess.
Yeah,
They're not
yeah,
going anywhere. They're not going to get better this year, I don't think. So they're
yeah.
probably a seventh or eighth seed, and they have no draft picks, and they got old guys except for Book.
Yeah, that there. I would assume there's going to be changes in the off season. So that's there will be trades in the off season. Maybe Durant's probably gone, but it's the way it goes. But the guy's getting older. I mean, he's had a lot of injury issues, and he's what, like 35 or something. So
36, I think. I mean,
yeah, he's been around a long time. He played his rookie year in Seattle.
yeah. The interesting thing about Durant, and this is 36 years old. September is he's turning 37, so by next season he's going to be 37. If you are struggling as a team at the end, and you have guys like that are superstars, you can still flip them, at least under the last year standard, for four-ish picks, because a team that's just right on the precipice, like, look, if I get that guy, I'm over the top. And they're probably right. Like, if you're a team that is a top four, and you put Durant on your team and you don't lose the other assets, you're going to be really good if he's able to play. So I think if they do underperform, blow it up and trade your guys like New Jersey did, and then you have a huge draft stock again, like you replenish it.
Yeah, yeah. If they can send him back to like OKC or something with a team with a bunch of picks,
Yeah.
I think they need to do that without a doubt.
Yeah. Can you imagine, putting aside chemistry issues, because we don't know, but can you imagine OKC picking up Durant?
Yeah, obviously that'd be a huge deal. It'd be a huge deal for the Spurs too,
Right.
and the
Right.
Spurs have draft capital, so those two teams
Yeah.
are prime destinations for a trade for Phoenix, I would say.
Yeah. I think Golden State had like three picks they could have traded, and I think so like he would have been a huge addition for them. Like it would have, taken them from, okay, you're not going anywhere to, that's an interesting team,
Yeah,
right? As
possible.
long as you hang on to the other guys.
Yeah.
All right. So the trade deadline's passed. Like, what are your thoughts on playing time?
Well, I think I'm just hoping that, like tonight, that Clarkson takes a lot of DNPs. That's the only thing I hope. Other than that, that's the only guy on the team I don't want taking minutes from the other guys. I think he just needs to take a bunch of DNPs. And if he plays another five to 10 games this year, okay. But anything more than that, I'll be very, very frustrated.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly, I told you I was frustrated with the lineup tonight. Now, maybe Hardy thought, look, I can play, the entire starting lineup because I'm in Phoenix. That's a tough, but it's against Phoenix without Beal and without Durant. So I think you have to factor that in. I think because you did not trade any of those guys, which we wanted you to trade, I think you have to play one of them a night. I think you got to alternate them, because I don't think the way Collins is playing, Collins we've talked about this many times. Collins is a very good player right now. Is this the new Collins or is this just the Collins this year? None of us know. I hope it's the new Collins, but you can't play Kessler, Collins, Marketing, Collier, and when Sexton's back, you can't play that team, right? You can play that team if you go into Boston or in Oklahoma City, but in most cases you can't play that team. You're going to have to like flip these guys out. So hopefully Hardy does that. I mean, it was great to see it tonight. Don't get me wrong. I love watching those guys play and together. It was a competitive game. It was great, but we can't win. Like, after this season, we can't win. Like, can you imagine, like, if we get, like, the fifth, like, man, that would just be so disappointing.
Yeah. After suffering through all this stuff and sitting all these guys for rest and stuff when obviously they didn't need it, like Walker, and then all of a sudden at the end of the season, the second half, after the All-Star break, they start winning games. I mean, that would just be inexcusable.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting to how fast teams can turn around. Detroit's playing great basketball right now. Houston has done some trades and mixed them with their young guys and are playing great basketball. And let's face it, got a fantastic coach. Like, just that the guy may be ethically like I'm not like saying his ethics and the things he does, but he has his teams tough and playing defense. I love that coach. So they got a good coach. Portland's turned it around. Yeah, they got some veterans, but it's their younger guys. They wanted to you got to get rid of Simon. Simon's is playing great. So they've turned it around. So we can turn it around in a hurry. We just need some young quality assets, and we got two. We now have two, and hopefully some of the other guys turn into what we want them to be. Cody's having a tough first year, and he's hurt now. But something, he's got the size, he's got a skill set. Let's hopefully he can turn it around. But man, in this draft, I think we got 2 of 3, and then we'll see on Cody.
Yeah, and obviously, if the Jazz do need to intentionally start losing games, if they start playing Cody again after he gets healthy, that will help. If he starts playing 30 minutes again, because that guy is not in a position to help the Jazz win games right now.
Yeah, maybe we should play Keontae, Cody Williams.
Yeah.
I'm sure I could think of some other ones to throw in there with them. Yeah, we're going to lose a lot of games that way. But honestly, if I do want him to get time, so I wouldn't mind that at all, that he gets some more time, because he's going to have to take his lumps. He's going to have to hit the weight room. But players develop at different speeds.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
Well, I think we will call it a night. It's obviously late and nearing midnight in Utah, so we will call this a wrap on this edition of Jazz Smack Postgame, and I hope that everybody has a great night, and we will talk again after the next game. Well, have a great night, everybody. Good night.